I love the music. The DJ is incredible.
The people are really awesome.
Frank. Headshot. Frank. Sit down. Frank. Hand up. Frank. Pass out. Frank. Wake up. Frank. Made it. Frank. Cut like the devil. Cut like the devil. Cut like the devil.
Let's go. All right, welcome back, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for checking out the Alchemix channel. We usually focus on DJ gear reviews and such like that, but we mix it up. We do all sorts of crazy stuff here from time to time. Today we're going to be looking at, without a doubt, the most oddball of the oddballs. We're talking about portables, which are already kind of considered the redheaded step cousins of real turntables. But there's one in particular which is extra odd, and that's the Omni. Omni was made by a group called Headache Sounds, and they make some pretty cool stuff. They made an initial batch, and there were some you could buy from stores. However, the reason you don't find Omnis in the wild pretty much at all anymore, for one, they are by far the most expensive portable turntable on the market. And in order to order one now, you have to convert your dollars, 357 of them to be exact, to Hong Kong, like 32,000 or some crazy number. And you have to send it to Headache Sound, and then you got to wait like 6 weeks. Maybe I'm being dramatic. It might something between 2 to 6 weeks. They're going to custom build your Omni when you order it. And I was excited just because of the DVS built on. I did finally get this to set up plug and play, one wire connection to either Serato or Tractor. Tractor was a lot more difficult. If you guys are having trouble trying to connect this to Tractor, hit me up, because when I reached out to Headache, even they weren't exactly sure how to do it for Tractor with a Mac. I had to create an aggregate audio device, and it was also complicated by the fact that absolutely nobody sells 7-inch Tractor vinyl anymore. I cut down a full 12-inch to about 8 inches, and it's not bad. It doesn't cause problems for the plat or anything like that. There was one scratchy seal that was coming with a Tractor time code on the back. I have been looking everywhere. I have not found anything available if you're trying to do Tractor time code in a 7. I'm sure that will probably come back at some point. I hope it'll come back, because I love Tractor DVS. My dream from the beginning for this was to use this paired with an F1 in Tractor, to use the F1 in the remix decks to just kind of cue endless loops, and then be able to scratch over the top of this with either DVS or analog. And unfortunately, because of how difficult and weird it was to set up, I have not been able to connect any other devices when I'm using the aggregate audio device that I set up for Tractor to run DVS on this thing. It was good. I learned to do some MIDI mapping and stuff. I'd never mapped faders and stuff like that. I learned a lot by making this run with Tractor. It's significantly more expensive. The Reloop Spin is the next closest at $329. The Stanton STX I just ordered is $250. That's supposed to be here on Monday, and it seems like the big complaint about that one is it does not play full 12-inch records, where the Omni will. Just barely. It looks like it's rubbing on the fader caps and stuff, but it does play them. And then, of course, the Newmark PT01 comes in at about $170. You can order any of those cheaper turntables fully customized from like Jesse Dean. A lot of them go for $500 if you get all the bells and whistles already installed on them. But what I enjoyed about these is doing the custom stuff myself. This deck saver it came with, it's heavier duty than the other ones I've played with by quite a bit. A nice thick deck saver and has a nice big latch on the front that locks it on nice and secure. And it does seem to be standard. It seems like all the portables come with some sort of deck saver, which I'm all for. Big fan of. This thing, I'm just powering it off of a USB power block here, and one's great. It takes a long life to kill this thing. Right out of the box, my buddy sent me a link to a Jesse Dean carbon fiber tone arm that claimed to improve tracking quite a bit. So I did install that. It was not a very difficult install and definitely did improve things a lot. I went ahead and put these little Jesse Dean scratch covers on here too. There's no way you're going to rub the paint off of this or anything like that. I really did think this was an aluminum like metal case. I was a little disappointed it's plastic. It's still very sturdy and it keeps everything lightweight because we aren't adding in the metal. So I think we're going to continue to see plastic cases on pretty much all portables. I immediately swapped out these fader caps. It comes with these bad boys. I don't know if you can see that, but they rounded the edges, and I'm not sure why anybody who's a scratch DJ would want more variation to their fader. It's just not something that makes any sort of sense to me. So first thing I did was swap those out with just some generic flat caps, and I like them much better. The other one that confused me, reloop on like their scratch equipment. They'll put their little reloop symbol, and it's actually like embedded down in the fader. Like that for a scratch DJ, the last thing you want is some weird thing right where your finger is going to be doing thousands of cycles and stuff like that. I will say these little scratch covers from Jesse Dean, like it also does make it harder to see where the light is at. It's just a little flip on-off switch on the back of these things. And I have had the faders get out of calibration a couple times on me. That's pretty simple to do. You just put them both all the way out, hold the fader and reverse at the same time, and press start. And then it should allow you to recalibrate whenever you're feeling like I keep losing it over here right where I do my main scratching. So that's a good thing to know, how to recalibrate your Omni. The rotary tempo, it's not really hard to get used to. I think it's smart for these smaller rigs. We got 3345 and an ultra pitch where it lets you go like up to 40 or up to 50% of the tempo, I believe. We have a couple EQ curves you can switch from scratch, flat, or a hi-fi EQ curve. Has been handy. One thing that disappointed me, I saw on the reloop, there's a little indent. I believe it's the same way on the Newmark from what people are telling me, where your 45 adapter just pops right in. And if you're going to make a rig that primarily plays 7-inch records, you should absolutely build an onboard 45 adapter holder. That has been a pain in the butt for me. Something I'm not super happy about with this rig. I'll just be 100% honest with that. The speaker on board, it sounded terrible on mine. I don't want to say that that's all of them. I suspect I have some sort of resistance in the circuit, some sort of loose connection or something. It's super crackly, poppy, just doesn't sound good at low volume, mid volume, high volume. Lucky for me, I never wanted this to go sit in the park and just scratch on my lap with the internal speaker. The same way I will use this stupid little Bluetooth for my MPC Live. I connect an external speaker for much, much better audio quality. It's going to waste less of your power and stuff. So that I've seen another guy do a mod where he put a little Amazon $2 speaker right here on top, and it sounded much better. Looked good. Was a cool mod. He also put in a little light so that he can see his tracks. I think I might do that one eventually. The one other mod I know for sure, I just found a Fader Mini that I had. This is a brand new one. I bought a 2-pack back when I replaced the fader on my Tractor Z2, and I'll probably pop that in here as well, even though I like to primarily run this paired with the Akai AMX. The AFX, it kind of gives you a full-featured controller option there if you want it. I will say this, 7-inch control vinyl, it's a cool idea. However, realistically, 7-inch controlled vinyl doesn't give you very much time on side A. That's only 4 minutes of time code. Side B, there's only 5 minutes of time code. And so even though I run them on side Bs, like you're constantly resetting the tone arms on these. There are songs that are over 5 minutes. You're going to hit that inner ring where it automatically boots you back into internal mode. So that's a bit of a pain. The other big pain is just flux. This is a belt-driven model. All of these portables are, and the turntables fluctuate much more. We know on regular DVS, our decks usually fluctuate between 1/10 and 3/10 of a BPM. It's just flux happens any type of turntable device. However, on these flux between half to a full BPM. They are not stable devices. They are not quartz locked. They're great for scratching to a beat. However, mixing, which it is my intention. I want to put the Stanton STX over here, have a super tiny DVS rig I could still throw full size vinyl on. But I'm almost positive I'm gonna have to sync the decks. The fluctuation. I've done a lot of shows so far with the Omni, full 4-hour sets and stuff, where I'll actually replace my full size turntable with this deck and have like a CDJ on the other side or something. With one digital deck that is stable, I can kind of split the difference of where it's fluxing, and I can mix. A lot of my stuff is open format hip hop. I'm mixing very quickly across all genres and stuff, so I'm not usually trying to do 16 or 32 bar transitions all smooth and such. But yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to try this little modular mobile setup with 2 decks because honestly, I want to learn how to use sync. I don't say don't use sync because it's the devil. I say I'd never figured out how to use sync. It just never worked the way I expected it to, so I never bothered. But yeah, I hope that this will help force me to use sync properly. Um, so much cool potential with this stuff. Would I take this out to? I got 2 birthday parties coming up in April. One's an 80s party, one's a 90s. I'm not going to take these toys. I'm taking full size turntables. I charged extra for that vibe, that feel, that authenticity. But for a ton of stuff, just for my own personal pleasure and less gear and weight that I have to drag out that's expensive that I'm concerned about, this is so much fun. It's been a huge learning curve for me, and I'm super glad I finally got into it because I avoided portablism altogether in the beginning, thinking it was a joke. It came with this little stock plastic. I didn't like it with the stock slip mat at all. I was just using the stock slip mat at first. It was all floppy and cheap. I took a much thicker Audio Technica slip mat I had and then brought back in the plastic, and that is a much better feel for me. I did not like what they provided me with stock at all. This thing overall, there was a a platter stabilizer also made by Jimmy Dean for the first model, and this is the V2, which they put like a full bearing that goes all the way through the platter. It's really not necessary. However, I have seen uh, Jesse Dean has now released a V2 Omni platter stabilizer as well. I think that's pretty much all of the currently like available products for the Omni. Um, since I don't have as much personal hands-on time with either a Newmark or a Reloop, I can't do as much of a comparison for you. I'll do a little bit more of a side-by-side and a review of the Stanton STX once it's in. Um, but for me, I've been very impressed. I, I, I genuinely think this is one of the most hardcore options they have. It comes with a nice Audio Technica cartridge and a little Style Eye protector. Um, Overall, for a grab and go portable, I'm glad I went this way. I always like to have the oddballs and stuff. If you were thinking about it and you're afraid of the whole sending weird transactions through PayPal, don't be afraid of that. They are responsive. They will build your unit to order and ship it to you. Shipping, I thought it was going to be worse coming from Asia. However, I live in Seattle, Washington, and after they completed this, it was only a couple days and cost about an additional $50 to get it landed in my hands. So yeah, love this thing. I recommend it, especially if you're a weird nerd like me that wants to have the rare options and show up and be the only guy that's hauling around some unicorn that doesn't come out too often. Like consider this. I think the Stanton looks awesome as well. I'm excited to play with it. However, I don't think anything currently tops the Omni, and I think it's going to be that way for a while. So I love you guys. You got any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below for me, and I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Stay blessed. Bye.